about protecting your backlog? Okay, so if you are selling a higher ticket item that maybe involves financing where it takes some time, when there's some sort of time period of that thing being built or the loan closing or whatever it is, then you might have a backlog, right? You might have a bunch of people that you've sold stuff to that hasn't closed yet, that you haven't been paid for yet. So since you haven't been paid on them yet, it means the deal is not done. Since the deal is not done, it means you have to guard your backlog with your life, right? So a couple thoughts on keeping deals together and guarding your backlog. I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with. I would say the first thing, be organized. Be organized, right? I had these pieces of these pages stapled together, and I had everything typed out of all of the people I had sold homes to, their name, their lot number, the price of the home, when it's supposed to close, and then I had a bunch of notes on each person, and I was constantly updating those notes, and I always had that in front of me, and I was always, keeping in touch with the customers. So stay organized. Know what's going on at all times with your customers and with their deal, because if you don't, other people aren't going to do it for you, and it's going to fall apart, right? So you want to stay organized. Say another idea is be a good quarterback. What I mean by that is be a good leader. You're in charge, right? So at least in real estate, there's lenders, there's realtors, there's the customer, there's your managers, there's your construction managers, there's the customer service people who are in and out of your community. There's all of these moving pieces, and they all matter. And if you stay on top of everything and you always know what's going on with everything and you can kind of direct everybody, then things are going to go better with your backlog, right? If you don't know what's going on with everybody and you don't talk to everybody, then you're sort of in the dark, and then you can't tell your customer what's going on and they're in the dark. So you really want to be a good quarterback. You really want to see the whole field. You want to direct everybody. You want to let them know, okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? This is what we're going to do. This is the plan. And the more of a good quarterback you are, the smoother everything's going to go, right? Because usually if you have a backlog, there's probably some other moving pieces with some other people, whether it's in real estate or something else, that you may need their help, or you may need to know what's going on with something, right? You may need to know what the timeline is of something, and you need to know all those things because you got to be able to tell your customer. Direct, honest, frequent communication. Frequent, I'll say confident, encouraging communication. In terms of communicating with your buyers, frequency, I would say at least once a week, or more often if needed, if there's certain things that are happening that come up, either good or bad, communicating. I think you want to be like the tour guide, like we talked about earlier in some of these videos, or like the pilot, right? Where it's like, you got everything under control, everything is good, everything is, you always want to be encouraging. You always want to let them know everything's under control, everything's going to be okay, because they're nervous and they're scared and they look to you for that. So you really want to be that reassuring presence, right? But you also want to be direct and honest and being able to have hard conversations. So whatever you sell, whatever type of backlog you have, sometimes there are problems with backlog, right? Sometimes there are big problems that you really don't want to share with the customer because you think they're going to cancel it, they're going to give you a terrible review, you're going to get in trouble. But whenever you have things like that, the right thing to do is to have direct, honest communication and really stay in problem solving mode and really just try to figure things out for them, be apologetic. I'll share a story that I had a co-worker, and this co-worker ended up leaving the company, and she had this backlog. And so I inherited her backlog of a bunch of different people, and they were super messy deals. Super messy for a lot of reasons. And some of the biggest reasons were that there were, I'm trying to think. So some of the reasons were that this backlog, all of these people thought that their houses were being built and were going to be done soon, and their houses hadn't even been started. So their timelines were like way off of what they thought was happening. And this previous coworker had not communicated with her people at all of what was going on. And so they just thought everything's good, house is being built, this is great. They had no clue. And so I had to figure out what was going on with all of these homes. And we were basically struggling. Like, we didn't have permits to start all these homes, and we were working really hard to get these permits, but there was a ton of permits being submitted to that area, and the permit people were being really slow, and it was taking a long time, and so the houses hadn't been started. We didn't even have the permits for the house. And so I had to call in every single one of these buyers and sit them down, and I was basically like, listen, so-and-so left the company, I just inherited this backlog, I'm gonna be the one that's helping you. And I told them, I was very honest with them, and I told them, this is what's going on. I didn't know anything about these before. I've just spent a bunch of time trying to figure out all the moving pieces of this. Based on everybody that I talked to, all the managers, this is what I'm seeing. This is what's going on. Just want to be honest and transparent with you. I apologize that person didn't explain things. I know that wasn't right. I'm really sorry. This is the situation now. I'm gonna keep you up to date consistently. I'm gonna be honest with you and share you everything that's going on. And we're gonna put this together and we're gonna figure this out, right? So it was tricky. It was a tricky situation. The people were obviously not happy, but I think that they really appreciated that I was honest. I was honest in telling them, like, look, this is everything. This is what I inherited. These are all the moving pieces. This is where all the moving pieces stand. These are all the things that we're gonna be doing to fix this, and I'm gonna be keeping you up to date on all of that. And I really, really apologize, and I really thank you for your patience with us, and so if you're having problems backlog wise, I know it's tempting to sort of hide from those problems because you really don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable and they might cancel, and you're just sort of like hoping that if you stick your head in the sand, maybe it'll all just go away and it will just be solved. It'll just kind of sort itself out without you having to have that uncomfortable conversation. But a lot of times, almost always, maybe the uncomfortable conversation, and that might be what needs to happen. In these cases, it was a royal mess. People were very unhappy, but be willing to have the hard conversations because you can save the deals. And those deals were saved, and I got all those people to closing, which was amazing. So be willing to have the hard conversations, be willing to be very direct and really laying everything out for people. This is what's going on. This is how this happened. I apologize that this happened. I've made a bunch of calls. This is the plan right now. This is what we're gonna do. And I really thank you for your patience, and I'm really sorry, and we're gonna figure this out for you, right? I think that being sorry and really being proactive and working to figure things out and being direct like that, I think it goes a really, really long way with people. And I think people do appreciate it. It will cut you slack, and you can really keep deals together that otherwise would have closed. So protecting your backlog, the deals haven't closed yet. You got to stay in problem solving mode. You got to be a good professional, good communicator, good quarterback. You have to understand all the moving pieces that's going on with that backlog, all the things that need to happen at every point to make sure that that gets where it needs to be. You really have to guard it and protect it. And it's part of being a high level salesperson. So protect your backlog. Hope that helps. Move on to the next video.